Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedules, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Mike Young on the line. He's founder over at Makeover Mike, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks for having me, man.
So I'm excited to get into the Makeover Master, but before we do that, I want to go a little bit further into your background. So tell me a little bit more about your journey and how you got started in business, please.
I don't know if we have enough time. I think, I started out like a lot of entrepreneurs do, where you kind of have this vision of, wouldn't it be cool to create a small team and doing things I love to do without the complexity of having tons of employees and maybe having to drive to an office every day and all those things. I wanted what I think a lot of people do, which is I wanted money to show up in my bank account, doing something I love so I could spend the majority of my time with my family and friends and traveling. And it turned out to be a lot harder to actually achieve that than I originally thought. I had run a mortgage company, and we grew it from scratch to 10 offices, 250 plus employees in about a 5-year stretch, and that actually folded during the housing crisis of 2008. And it just led me to this place where I found myself kind of in a home office alone. I'd just gone from liquid millionaire to $200,000 in debt in less than 6 months, and was kind of sitting around like, what am I going to create? What am I going to do next? And that just led me to this path of trying a whole bunch of stuff until something finally worked.
So I love it, and I love that you share your story, and I think a lot of listeners right now, the country in general, when this is being recorded, we're going through the COVID thing and all that good stuff, so all that bad stuff, I should say. So based off of that, there's a lot of people, a lot of fear going on right now, a lot of things. There's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad that comes out of this. So based on your experience, what do you think are some of, let's just talk about the bad times a little bit. What are some of the things that, looking back at, your career and what you've learned, what's some of the advice that you would have given yourself back then if you could go back and, have that conversation with you right now?
Yeah, for me, I started when I was trying to figure out how do I transition to an online business and really play the game from home versus driving to an office and stuff. Mm-hmm. I began taking courses and reading books and going to events and going to seminars. And so before I knew it, it was 8.5 years into it, I'd spent $200,000 and my business still wasn't working. So the advice that I would give my 2008 self is get very, very clear on what you're actually trying to accomplish. Then get clear on the mechanism with how you're going to accomplish that, and make sure it ties into your energy. Make sure it's something you feel good about doing every day. And then find somebody that's already done that and hire them as a coach, a mentor, ask for help, work for them for free. Basically surround yourself with people that have already done what you're trying to do, and you'll speed up your learning curve dramatically. While I was floundering around in books and online courses and trying to figure everything out myself, I could have dramatically sped up my learning curve by just finding a direct coach or mentor or somebody that had already done it and just modeling their behaviors or their habits.
Man, I love it. I love what you bring up because it really is. They say there's no shortcut to success, right? And to me, there isn't. You have to do the work. But what you just said is the shortcut. Like, you don't have to spend all those years and all that money to get the information. You just have to go to the source.
It's literally the difference between looking for the information and the answers to your questions versus getting the answers almost immediately. So that time gap at the end of the day, it cost me 8.5 years and 200 plus grand. That could have been shortened, and it could have cost me a lot less, because while I'm searching for the answer, and it's kind of like going to Google, the answers are endless, the information's endless. So I, a lot of times, having to search for answers instead of just asking a direct question and getting the answer immediately. And that's what happened. I ended up getting so frustrated and burnt out and depressed and broke that I finally asked for help. And I unwound everything in about 18 months. So I was able to take a broken business and lots of outflow going out and lots of energy being expanded, and I was able to reverse that entire thing in an 18-month period with a couple of direct coaches and mentors.
Man, that's amazing. I love it. And I think it's also a great transition. So let's get into the Makeover Master. Tell us a little bit more about the company and what you do, please.
Yeah, essentially, the simplest way to put it is I help businesses that are stuck and can't figure out why they're stuck and why it's not working. We help get the business working, and then we have a separate, basically an upsell, which is after we get the business working, we make it pretty. So it doesn't make any sense to spend a lot of money on websites and graphics and imagery and branding and those types of things if the business isn't working. So step one, let's make sure the business is working and thriving. And step two, let's make sure you look the part afterwards.
I love it. And I know this. I know there's different people, different journeys in their businesses and other things. But I've always been a do it guy. Like, you just got to do it. I think when it comes to logos, other things like that, it's like, man, I need to figure out if this thing's gonna even work before we have a business. I talk to a lot of people when I'm helping them start podcasts, and I always laugh because everybody's so caught up on the right mic or the right sound or the right this or the right that, and I always laugh, and I'm like, you know what? I recorded my first 300 episodes on my iPhone headphones, not even AirPods, the regular with the cord iPhone headphones, and built an audience from that before I even decided to get a mic. So don't tell me that you can't start your podcast because you don't have the right mic.
100%. And I did the same thing. I was always, when I was in my journey between 2008 and 2014, I created over 50 different businesses, and most of them failed. And so, but I was always hung up on, okay, I've got a business now. I need to make it pretty. I need a logo. I need colors. I need social media. I need a website. Well, 47 times out of 50, I built all that stuff and the business didn't work. And so it's much smarter to prove the business model and just do it, like you said, before you start worrying about what colors you're worried about.
Man, I love it. So that being said, Mike, so we're just about out of time. Two-part question for the final round. So number one, what are the right types of businesses or founders that make sense to work with the Makeover Master, number one? Number two, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I would say we work with a lot of what I would consider solopreneurs with a very small team, a lot of personal brands, coaches, consultants, realtors, mortgage professionals, people that are trying to build the business around them. And if they want to reach out, they can find us on our website, themakeovermaster.com, or I'm also personally on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Mike, been great having you on the show today. Thank you for sharing more about your story. I learned a lot. I hope the audience, I hope you learned a lot also, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe, but also leave us some comments in the video. I love to know what kind of things you're working on, what kind of projects you have going on. And Mike, thanks again for coming on the show.